HOA Karen blocked my entrance with bulldozers. Now these bulldozers are mine. Before we tell you an interesting story, write a comment where you are watching us from. It is very important for us. Thank you. Every morning started the same way. I was up and about with the first rays of the sun, opening the chicken coop doors, scattering the feed, checking the goat pen, inspecting the beds. This routine became second nature to me, a rhythm of life that I cherished. The smell of fresh earth mixed with the crisp morning air and the distant sound of birds singing made my early hours almost meditative. Thanks to my daily work, my products began to gain popularity among the neighbors. People appreciated the quality of homegrown vegetables, fresh eggs, and organic milk. Word spread quickly, and soon my farm became a local gem. Families stopped by on weekends to buy directly from me, enjoying the authenticity of farm-to-table food. My success did not go unnoticed. Even city stores took an interest in me, wanting to sign contracts with me. Seeing my products on the shelves of well-known markets gave me pride in my work. My grandfather taught me this business, and what started as a family hobby has now grown into something more. But this morning, when I came out onto the porch, I froze in shock. The access road to my farm was completely blocked. Huge bulldozers completely blocked the road for passage. Karen stood in the center, giving commands to the workers in the bulldozers. Oh, what the hell is going on here? My voice was louder than I expected, cutting through the noise of idling engines.
Oh, you're awake, just in time. We decided to close the road a little. Nothing personal, just a necessity.
I felt my pulse quicken, my fists clenching at my sides. Necessity, I repeated through gritted teeth. This is my road, my exit. Remove the bulldozers immediately. Karen waved her hand dismissively.
Oh, stop being so dramatic. This decision was made in the interests of the city.
I took a step forward, struggling to contain my fury. In the interests of the city? What the hell are you talking about? Karen snorted.
You see, your business is creating problems. You're crowding out local suppliers. City stores have started buying products from you and not from large wholesalers. And as you can imagine, they are not happy with this turn of events.
I narrowed my eyes. So what? This is competition, Karen. Everyone has the right to choose who to buy from. She smirked, tilting her head slightly.
Yeah, but the big suppliers, well, let's just say they offered a good solution to this problem.
I glared at her, my hands trembling with restrained anger. They bribed you, huh? How much did you get for this mess? Karen let out an exaggerated sigh and shook her head.
Oh, don't be so naive. It's just business. The big companies don't want to lose the market, and you're the problem that needs fixing.
I turned sharply to the bulldozer drivers, my voice firm. Get the equipment out, now! None of them moved. Karen let out a short, mocking laugh.
They work under contract, dear. Without my order, nothing will move.
My jaw tightened. Enough was enough. I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. Great, then we'll see what the police say.
What do you expect to gain by doing this? I'm a respected person in this neighborhood. Everyone respects me.
15 minutes later, police cars pulled up on the driveway, red and blue lights flashing against the trees. An officer stepped out.
What seems to be the problem?
These bulldozers have completely blocked my exit from the farm. They're trespassing on my land. The officer shifted his gaze to Karen.
Ma'am, do you have a permit to block the driveway?
Karen straightened, her confidence unwavering.
Of course, it's all legal, officer.
The officer extended his hand.
Show me the papers.
Karen pulled a stack of documents from her bag and handed them over. After a few moments, he looked back up at her.
There's no official permit here. This is just a proposal, not an approved document.
Well, maybe it hasn't gone through the bureaucratic channels yet, but it will. It's just a matter of time.
The officer's expression hardened.
That's not how it works, ma'am. You cannot block a private driveway without an official government order.
Karen's smile faded.
This is ridiculous. Do you know who I am? I've been part of the HOA for 20 years. I know the legal system.
The officer raised an eyebrow.
Then you should know that what you're doing is illegal.
Karen threw up her hands, her frustration finally showing.
Look, I don't see the problem here. The road is still technically accessible. He just has to go around.
I let out a bitter laugh.
Go around. You've piled dirt and construction debris everywhere. I can't even get a truck through.
Karen turned back to the officer.
Officer, listen, this is a community decision. It's not just about him. The neighborhood needs proper infrastructure.
The officer exhaled sharply and shook his head.
Ma'am, I'm not going to argue with you. You're on private property without permission. However, this is a civil dispute. If the owner wants this resolved, he'll need to take it to court.
Karen smiled triumphantly, folding her arms.
See, even the police agree.
I clenched my jaw. So, you're not going to remove them? The officer sighed.
I can't force them unless a judge orders it, but I suggest you file for an injunction as soon as possible.
Karen smirked at me.
Guess we'll be seeing each other in court.
I stared at her, my hands clenched into fists. You have no idea what you've just started. The next day, I met with my lawyer and immediately began collecting documents. We analyzed the situation in detail, found evidence of Karen's illegal activity, requested copies of contracts with city suppliers, statements of payments she received, and other documents proving her fraud. A day later, I was already sitting in the courtroom, watching how confident Karen was in her impunity. When the judge entered the room, silence filled the room. Looking at Karen, he declared the hearing open. Everyone present, neighbors, local journalists, city officials, were already aware of the blocking of access to my property. Their attention was riveted on Karen. When the judge turned to my lawyer, he confidently stood up and declared that I was the legal owner of the land. However, Karen, without any permission, blocked my driveway, hindering my activities. The judge turned his gaze to Karen and demanded an explanation. She shrugged lazily, feigning boredom, and then stated that I was allegedly conducting an illegal business on my property. To support her words, she mentioned my contracts with clients, hinting at some illegal operations. My lawyer asked Karen a direct question. If she was concerned about my business, why didn't she simply file a complaint with the relevant authorities, but instead organized an illegal blockade of the road? Then he turned to the evidence I provided, bank statements indicating that Karen received payment for obstructing access to my house. Karen continued to dig in her heels, insisting that this money was just contributions for the benefit of the HOA. The judge leafed through the documents and found that Karen had illegally received payment for actions to which she had no right. Karen opened her mouth trying to say something, but could not find any arguments. The court found her actions illegal. As compensation, all the construction equipment used in the blockade became my property.